So let me create a new activity for external storage. So let me call it as a blank activity. Yeah, no issues. Yeah, so let's create activity for external storage activity, right? So let me click on finish, right? So once we are done with this, so anyways, so here we don't have, sometimes we, if you are working on emulator, right, sometimes external storage stuff may not work, right, normally, but you'll have to check these things. So from today on, right, whatever services we are going to check on, like Bluetooth or Wi-Fi or some camera part anyways, you'll be having the camera part, right? Normally few things you have to test in your phone itself, right? But yes, I'll actually show you all the required components which you can actually handle in case of different connectivity parts, right? So first let's take an button here. So let's call it as BTN extern something, and let me just say it is external storage something, right? So what we are going to do here is, so let's say we are going to actually create two things. The first thing is we'll check external storage, whether the external storage is connected or not. Very important thing. If the external storage is not connected, right, then obviously you should actually block at that point itself, right? You should not go to the writing or reading part of external storage as such. Fine. So this is something which is the main part. So let's say external storage, let me call it as existence, right? External storage existence. So let me part exists, right? And then if it exists, let me create one more button for you for something called create data, for creating data, right? And one more button for reading data. So this button is for BTN create something external. Let me call it as create, right? And then we have one more, let me call it as BTN read, right? Reading external data. Let me call it as read. I'll give you how we can actually do the parts of creating and reading if it exists, right? So among all, right, so reading and writing are straightforward as we have in Java. Writing a file into a direct path of external storage, right? But the main catch here is whether the external storage is there or not, right? So this will be our activity for external storage. Now let's go back to the class now here. Right. So before going to that, yes,
Sandhya, this is.
Yeah.
So external storage is nothing but, what and all will comes into the picture.
So external storage,
SD card is, SD card, and also the external plugins like.
Actually mainly, right. The main part of external storage is something. See, your phone will have a slot to add on the memory, right?
Yes.
Apart from your phone device, device memory, you will have one slot where you can actually add up some memory. That can be your micro or macro SD card, right? So that is the only external storage which I am talking about, right? It is not something like if you can connect a USB device with some other hard disk and all that. No, that will not be considered as an external device. Right?
No, actually we will connect to a computer also, right?
Yeah, that is not an external device, right?
Okay.
If you are actually connecting to external, to a computer, right? You cannot access a hard disk of your computer from your mobile phone to save. But yes, for mobile phone storage you can access from computer as such, right?
I think we can copy a photo from laptop to mobile.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, you can access the storage of mobile from laptop, right?
Yes.
Right. So can you access your laptop from mobile phone?
No, but I can copy some of the things to mobile phone, I think.
Yeah, that's what. Like you can copy some of the things from computer to laptop, computer to mobile phone, right? Which means you are
not access, that's true.
yeah. But here in app development case, right? In app development case, you will actually ideal case will be like this, right? So everyone will actually install the app, right? And whenever anyone installs the app, what will the external storage? It will be the mounted storage, right? Definitely, right?
Okay.
So they will not be actually checking all this connection and right. We never know that part. Some people will never connect to computer at all, right? They'll be just charging and using the mobile phone. Most of the people.
What about the cloud?
What about the cloud in the sense? So cloud will be having a back-end internet connection, right? So that is not external storage at all, right? It is something which you are actually mounting on the server and always connecting through some internet connectivity. If you go offline from your LAN or network, right? Then obviously it is completely disconnected with the cloud, right?
Okay, so it is completely like you can access the storage when you are offline also.
Yes. Obviously, your SD card you can access if you are in offline or online whenever you want, until and the storage part is connected to your external slot of phone, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead to the class now here. Sorry. So you have try catch. Now basically what we'll do here is like so first let's go to the main activity and let's make it external storage activity. Let's make this as a startup layout. Now here let's take all the buttons whatever we have created. Let me call it as LBTN, let's say extern check, right? So we'll just check on click of this button, we'll check what exactly is happening. So let's say find view by ID, you have r.id. So you have btn check extern. No, is it it's extern existence. Fine. Now typecast it and then let me create one more button. So this will be your create button is equal to find view by ID. You have r.id.btn create extern and cast it to button. Now you have button lbtn read part where you will see find view by ID r.id. btn read what is the name here? Let me call it as
Srinath, instead of BTN you are giving the button objects as BLN.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. It's BLN is Boolean. I'm sorry. Yeah, thank you.
When you when you use it in the next coming things, no, you will get confused, right?
Yeah, exactly. I was not it was actually not my intention actually, but I was mainly focusing on this. That's true. Yes, correct. Yeah. Thank you. So now let's go ahead and create a button clicks. So first let's check how we can actually create check whether external storage is there or not, right? This is a very important part in the complete storage part. So let me just say on click listener is equal to new on click. Now here let's not write the code here. I'll create a separate method for each. Right, so here let me click on this. Let me import this. Here what I'm going to do is let me just say check external storage existence. So this will be my method. So let me click on create method and let me take it out of my class. Now this will actually check the existence of your. Now here how we can actually check the existence of the external storage is So we have something called environment class in Android. So this environment is nothing but, this environment is same as the environment which we use in our .NET or Java, right? Normally whenever we say environment, right, it normally actually specifies some parameters of local operating system, like environment of, so what is a disk, what is an active drive, right? What is a host name you have, what is a net protocol you have, all these things will be actually communicating through environment class. So even in
setting
Android,
the path also comes under.
exactly, setting the path, setting the default path, yeah, all these things will be using the environment, right? So the same environment class is also there in our Android, right? So here we'll be using the same class. So let's take something called string lstr, let me call it as status, right? Or normally we call it as, yeah, status, mounted status, yeah, status is equal to, let me take environment. You can see here if the environment is a class of the Android OS package. Dot, you have something called get external storage, right? So this external storage state will search whether there is any add-on memory being added to your slot of external memory or not. Simple short. So this will actually give you whether there is a external storage or not. Simple, right? Now this is not enough here actually. Sometimes what will happen is you will have to actually get the permissions. I'll show you where to get the permissions of different things we have, right? Now this is your external storage. Now when you get the status, right?
What value it will give? You have assigned that one to a string.
I'll show you that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll show you that. Okay. Okay. Now let me just print even the toast one. So let's show you the toast. Let me call it as status as. It will actually give us the mounted status, right? So what is a mounted? I'll show you that. Dot long dot show, let's say. Right. Normally, if you have used your Android phone, right? Normally, what happens whenever you actually append or add your external storage? What happens? The first thing ever you have to do is format your external micro SD card. Now, where do we need to format? If it is a brand new, I'm not talking about existing one, right? Or if it is an existing one, you will just plug in your memory. And when you switch on your phone, right, you have to click on something called mount SD card. Until unless you mount your SD card on your Android phone, right, it will not actually consider your external storage, even if you have added it. So that is called as mounting of your external storage, right? And this function will actually give whether there is a mounted storage or not. That is the status which we are going to get it here. Fine. Okay, so what we'll do here, we'll just take two booleans. Let me call it as boolean. There are two different states which you can have. First one is available, state start, whether the external storage is there or not. Let me call it as false first, and the second one will be read only or writable. Let me call it as writable form. Right. Anyways, so I'm creating this part so that whenever you run on your phone, it will work. But as of now, it may not work in our external. In our emulator, right? Now here, let's start. What exactly is the status we are getting? The first status what we will get is, let's check with, again we'll be taking something called environment dot, you have something called media. So media is something which actually refers to something called external storage. Now this is the status actually. Media mounted will actually give you one status. You can see here it is mounted. If you are getting the external storage state as mounted, which means there is a external storage card available. Now we'll have to check as, let's say, equals status. So if it is there, then which means you have a boolean available as true, and your writable will also be true. Right? So this is the first status which we will be getting. Now, second status which we will be getting is this. If your environment dot something called media mounted read only, right? Media mounted read only is something which is you have a SD card, but it is a read only SD card, right? Then you will have to make your LB available will be true, but your writable will be false, which means it's a read only SD card which you have, right? And if these two are not there, then the last state will be your both will be false. No, there is no available SD card and it's not writable. Simple. Now this will actually give you the actual state of the SD card storage. Now first let me create a toast here and we'll see what exactly it gives us for our emulator. So here let's say mounted state, right, which is available, right, and writable, right. So this is your status where you have your toast dot long dot show, right. The first status. So if we have the storage mounted and everything, so this will be standard, guys. So this will be standard for any Android phone. It can be tab or anything. This piece of code to check existence will be same across everything, right? And then in this case, let's take a toast again. Dot make text application context, and here, so first let us complete this toast dot long dot show, right. Here let us say we have something called, now here we said is available but writable. Now we'll just say state as available something, guys, available but read only, right. This is the state. Now let me copy the same thing and here just say not available. Simple. And if it is not available, then obviously you don't have to worry about whether it is writable or not, right. So this is something which will actually give us a status of whether the SD card is there or not. Let me run this and we'll see what actually it gives first. Right, so let me run this. So let me go back. So
Srinath, I have a question.
sure, Sneh.
So why we need to reset the ADB? Even I have done so many times that one, but I don't know why to.
This normally happens with the first start actually. This is something which is mystery. Every time I run the ADB, right, it always asks me to close and reopen again, and from second time it starts. Maybe it is taking some time to start the services. First time.
No, sometimes what is happening is my Android emulator is not working.
Android emulator is not working?
Yeah, it is getting stuck or something.
Okay.
Or else it is giving false results. I mean, it is not...
No, you mean it will be continuously saying Android is loading, right?
Yeah.
Oh, then you have to close your emulator and start it again. That's what I'm saying. Like, it can be...
Not only that case I'm saying. Even sometimes, no, your application is not opening in emulator. So that time also it was saying, I just went to the internet and searched over there. So there are also some answers like you have to reset your ADB.
Okay, okay.
So actually what is the main use of resetting the ADB? Why to?
No, normally what happens is whenever, see, if you have opened one Eclipse instance, right? Now let's say I've opened my Eclipse instance, right? Now the same Eclipse instance, if I open for some other application, and if I actually open 10 different Eclipse, right? No matter how many Eclipse instances I've opened, so if I run two different applications from different instances, it will take the same ADB instance. That is what happens normally, right? Now whenever it is struck with starting up of your C, now what happens, through your ADT, your ADB will be started, right? Normally, right? So if you don't have ADT, your ADB will not start. Is that clear, Sandhya? Yeah, normally, yes. So what happens is, let us say your ADT is, or normally if your machine is slow, what happens is your ADT is not able to start complete ADB or ABD as such. Then what happens is it tries to install your APK. Intermediately what happens, it will actually take some time to it takes some time for your emulator to start itself. Then what happens, it will actually stuck at that point. Even if you rebuild your project and try to restart, right, it is trying to unless until you restart your emulator and restart your Eclipse, all the instances, right, your ADB will not be reset.
Yeah.
Right? Even if you close emulator and run it again, it won't run, because it is actually stuck with your current instance of ADT. Right? You have to restart your plugin actually, which means you have to restart your Eclipse. Right? You don't have to close and do that. You can directly go to file and click on restart. Right? It will actually reset all the resources of current Eclipse actually.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe you can try that. If that is not working, we'll see what actually can be done. Fine.
Sure.
Okay. So let me click on external storage exists. Now you can see status mounted. It seems there is some mounted status available and write-up, right? So as we have created a initial, if you remember, we have created something called initial SD card, right, of some 50 MB or something, right? So this is taking the same storage here, right? That's why when you click on this, right, you have a mounted. Now why I said sometimes it may not be, right, because sometimes we may skip the SD portion, right? Micro SD card, you don't want to give any memory, just you skip that part and create an emulator. At that moment of time, what happens? It won't be there in your emulator, right? So that is what happens. Now if you want to check this out, let me go to menu once. I'll show you normally where exactly it will be. So here, let me go to this. I don't know whether you'll have the file explorer here. So can you guys see anywhere the explorer? So people, phones.
Which one you are saying?
I mean the file explorer. I mean. I don't have that, it seems. I mean the one from which we can actually go to are my files, right? It depends on different emulators actually. In some emulator you will get this available notifications, available pictures. Maybe you may get it file here. Now, why I am actually checking this is you can actually go ahead and check your SD card files where it has actually been saved, right? So for that I'm actually checking that. That's fine. You can run this in your it is phone call. It is okay. There are so many Android things which we have created, right? So you can see all the Android buddies are shown. Okay, that's fine. But normally what happens if you go to File Explorer, right? So it will actually give you like two things: one, device storage and your SD memory card, right? Normally what happens, your external SD memory card will always be like storage and the name, some name. Then you have to explore that part, right? Anyway, so this is something which will actually give you where is that part, guys? So let me go to storage here. Storage, right? Click on external storage. Now you can see status mounted and mounted status will be available. Perfect. Now this is something which will actually give you the existence of your storage. Now let's go ahead to the next one, which will actually give us the next step. Now let me go to lbtn create dot set on click listener as new on click listener. Sorry. Okay. So here this part we are going to see how to create. Now here let's see something called create data or file in external storage, something, right? Now let me create this method and outside the class. Let me give some divider for each class. Right, and this is something which is we'll be checking create file in external storage. Right. So this will actually give us a storage part. Now let's go ahead with this. Now here, before creating any storage, every time you have to check the storage existence, right? So for that, what we'll be doing here is, let's say I'm actually calling this external storage existence here itself, right? Or what we'll do, so immediately before creating anything, then we'll have to check whether it exists or not, and then we'll have to go for create button, let's say, right? Now let's say I'm gonna check something called lbln is available, is true, and you have your writable. So if these two are there, then I'll have to write the I can actually write into storage. Now what we'll do, we'll just check the negative part. If not boolean or not writable. So if any one gets failed, then let's create a toast. Just say make text of application context, just say no external storage found, simple, right? And this just says to toast dot long dot show, right? And just return the method, so that if there is nothing as such here, then we don't have, there is no meaning in moving ahead. And if there is any error here, so let us make a toast here again to show if there is an error. Error at create file storage. Just say it as e dot get message, and the duration will be a toast dot long dot show. So if there is any error, I mean, right? If there is any error, it will actually show up. Yeah, this is something going on. Now till this part, if there is external storage, everything is fine. Then we'll have to go and create a things. Now, so here, the first thing what we have to get is, so okay, if everything is fine, then we'll have to go and create a file. Now there are actually two ways how we can actually create a file. The first way is that, yeah, normally we'll be taking a file object. So this is something which is a java.io package file. Internally it will be converted to dex object of file, right? Don't worry about that. So let me call it as lobj file. Sorry, any question there? Hello? No? Okay. Now here, let's say you are sure that you are going to get a path of storage path at this file, which is, we normally have this SD card, right? So SD card is something which will give you, this is a common normal path you'll have, or basically what you'll have is ext SD card. So you may have any one of these names for your external drives actually. Normally, basically if you have your Android phone, you can directly go and check, right? Normally what happens is your path will be either ext, normally it will be like this, capital S and capital C card, like this. or maybe it will be like your direct SD card. Right? So, sorry, is there any question? I can't hear. Okay, fine. Right? And what you can give here is you can give your file name. So let us say I'm gonna take file name as static again, right? Let me take a final string, right? Let me call it as lstr file name is equal to some file name. Let me call it as some my file, right? Some file name here, .txt maybe. So this is a file name which I'm gonna keep, right? So let me use this as my file name, which is your plus lstr file name. Maybe you can actually give this part, right? This is the first thing. Or what you can actually do is you can actually go for file is equal to, I'll just create a file, I'll just comment, I'll keep both the things. So whatever works for you guys, you can actually go ahead with it, right? File, normally we can actually get the environment. Now this is somehow the best way normally, right? So what we'll do here is we'll get environment dot, you have something called get external storage public directory. This is the one which will actually give the access to our external storage path. It doesn't depend on what exactly is a path and everything. It will directly go and actually give this path, right? And here you have to give what type of storage. So this is the part which actually mentions, like see in an external storage, right, there can be so many partitions, right? Something like pictures, right? Some files, videos, right? And or music, something. So in the same way here you will have to mention some type. So these types again will be there in your environment. Dot, if you can see something called, see there are so many type of directories, right? You have your music, movies, pictures and all. Right? Let me take a part of pictures, let's say. Anyways, I'm not gonna create any picture, but here I'm going to take the same file name, which is file name of this, and I'm going to create this file. Right? And now what we'll do, we'll just take the let's create a path here now, right? So which is, let me call it as file. So let me create lobj final file, let's say, right, is equal to, so this directory pictures will actually give us a file directory path or directory path, right? So what we are going to do here is, let's say I'm going to take the path of this, or you can directly say file, you can actually append the things, right? You can see here what directory you want. Let's say I'm going to take this directory and file name. I want to take this file name. This will actually club our file. Now it will go to this directory and it will actually do this part. Now there may be this directory or not, and also there may be this file or not. So before doing anything, just check whether the directory is there or not. Fine. Now how to check it is, now I hope you guys know this. It is your file, something called .exists, which means if it is a directory, right, it will check the directory, and if it is a end file, it will check the end file. So that is how it goes. Now if it is a directory, then we'll have to make the directory, right? Just go and just say make directory. Now this will actually create a directory of directory pictures in our external storage for us, right? And you can give any of the environment path you want, environment type you want, right? So this part is something which will actually create your directory. And then what I'm doing, if the directory is not there, I'm creating the directory and I'm actually clubbing the directory part with my file name. Okay. Now once it is done, then we are ready to go to create a file, right? Or ready to go to actually write something into the file, right? So this time what we are doing is we are writing into a file, right? So again, let's go ahead and take the declarative pattern of Java. So here what we are going to do here is we are going to take something called let's take output stream writer, right? Let me call it as lobj output stream writer is equal to new. We have output stream writer with some output stream. So as we are going to write it in a file, let's take file output stream. Let me call it as f file output stream is equal to new. Now you can see here, for this file output stream we have to give some file. Now we will be going to give this final file, which means what happens here is my stream, which is output stream, will be pointing to this file. That is what we have to create a decorative pattern. Decorative pattern where I'm going to use something called output stream part, which means I'm going to write the data into this. Okay, and let's say, so once your stream is ready, then we'll have to write using your output stream. Just say something called dot. Either you can write, or if you want to append the file, you can append anything you want to do, right? Let's say I'm going to append this as hello world, something. As of now, I'm not taking any text box as such. I'm just giving whatever data I'm entering. Here, it will be saved, right? Now, once your output stream appending is done, then let's close your stream dot close and your. So before this stream, let's close your file output stream, which is a lobj file output stream dot close. Right. So this is how we do. And once everything is done, just say something called toast dot make text of application file created successfully. Fine, and you have something called toast dot long dot show. Fine. This will actually give you, okay, everything went fine. Now this is how we actually normally write into file. The main catch here is this part, right, where you can actually go ahead with the file getting the things and reading the things as such. Now always remember, whenever you are writing with streams, right, streams as such, right, and when you are writing something, always after writing something, always try to use a method called flush. What flush method will do is, so whatever you are writing, right, it will actually clear the network. Now let's say I'm going to write this for some, I'm using some loop to write some data. Then what happens, every time I'm writing something to actually get rid of some junk which will actually get segregated in the stream, right, we'll use this flush method so that it will actually clear the old data, and whatever new data you are writing will be appended to the file. That is what it means flush. And second thing is, you should never close these things directly here, right, normally. Now what do we need to do here is, let's say I'm going to create the streams here, right. So either you can use a complete bigger try catch, or maybe let's say I'm going to use try catch here, and I'm using finally, right, to close the streams. So let me just say I'm going to close it here, and these streams I'll be using inside this catch, and these things I'll be creating here, where initially I'll take it as null and these as null, right. So this is how you should always use stream writers or buffer writers, all the file tokens or threading part, everything, so that whatever you are doing, you should always do it in finally. Now even in finally, always check whether the object exists or not, which is, if you are trying to close this, right, which is file output stream, just check whether it is not equal to null or not. Same way, just check whether your, so this is something which is a plain Java one, that's fine. So this, I hope you already know this, right, and we'll be applying the same thing over here too, right. So this is how we normally write something into the file. Now here, if you are getting an exception, let me just make a toast again here and just say inner here, something, so that if you get any issue, we can actually check out what exactly is the issue we're getting. So this is something, this is how we normally create a file and put in some data into the file, right. So this is something which will actually give us a create file in storage, right. Now let's go ahead and create one more method called reading a file. So which is our lbtn read, right? Dot set on click listener, sorry, on click listener of new on click listener. So here we'll create a method called read external something storage file, right? Now what I'm going to do, let me create the method, right, and let me put it at the last, and this is for reading a file. Right, now this will actually give us a reading a file. So let me put in try catch. Now here let's see how to read a file. Again same stuff again. The first thing what you have to do here is, again you have to check whether it is available or not. First thing is available. I hope this will be enough, right? If it is available, it will be at least readable, right? You don't have to check your writable functionality here. Anyways, we are going to read, so this is enough for us. So let's create a toast. If it is not there, just say make text of application context and just say no external storage available, right? So this will actually give you the dot, you have something called long dot show. So and then just say return. This will actually return from going into the actual things here. And if there is any error, let's make one more toast here. Dot make text or application context, just say error at this method, right, and then show the error e dot get message. Just take a toast here dot, we have long dot show. This will actually give you the complete toast if you have any exception. Now let's go ahead and do something on how we can actually read the data. First thing is to create a file again, because we have to create a file object to point to the storage file which we are going to read. Let me call it as lobj file is equal to new. Again, here again, if you want to use the same path, you can actually go ahead directly using that. So let's say I'm going to give environment dot something called get storage public directory, right? And here let's select the same directory which we have used as directory dot what is that we have used, guys? Okay, we have used pictures from that. Let's use the same one. Pictures, right? Now this will actually give us a directory path. Fine. Now what we have to check here, if the directory itself is not there, then we should not move it, right, normally, because this will actually give us if there is a file which we are going to read, then there should be a directory. Perfect. Now let's say if there is no directory exists, which is not exists, then just say toast dot make text of application context, just say source directory doesn't exist, right? And give it as toast dot long dot show, right? So this will actually give us a toast, and then just say return. If there is no directory, then there is no meaning in going there, right? Now this is the first part. Now the next part is that now we have to, if the directory exists, right, then we'll have to go for file. Now let me create one more file object. Let me call it as lobj final file is equal to new file object. I'm going to give this directory and the file name. So this will actually convert this, it will actually club the file directory with the file name, so that the final object will be pointing to this final file name, right? So once it is done, then immediately you will have to check one thing called So let's block it up. Here we'll have to check something called file. So if lobj final file dot exists, right? Again, if doesn't exist, then there is no meaning in going there, right? So let me copy the same post. Just say source file doesn't exist. Right? If source file doesn't exist, then there is no meaning in going there. That's why I just returned it. Right? Perfect. So till this part, every validation we have done. Now let's go ahead and see how we can actually create the or read the file which is there in external service. So let me create a try catch here, and what I'm going to do, I am going to create a decorative pattern again. So let me go ahead and create something called buffered reader. I'll use a reader, right, this time. Buffered reader, which is used to read the file. Lobj something called br is equal to new. I'll be taking buffer reader. Now it needs a reader. So let me take something called file reader, right? Or what we'll do, yep, we can take a file reader, or we can also have a reader here. And normally you can take something called buffered readers. That's fine. Okay, file reader, where I'm going to take something called lobj-fr. File reader is equal to new, which needs a file, which I'll be giving as a final file. And for buffer reader, let me give the fr part, which is file reader. Right? Or also you have something called buffered input stream. You can also use the input stream also, right? Which we are going to convert into. It will actually get the things in string file. That's fine. Now, anyway, so whatever we are actually using here, we can use directly. Here we are using stream, right? Stream part, which is a byte stream. Let's do the same thing, which is input stream itself. Let me call it as buffered input stream is equal to new. It needs a input stream. Now here let's create file input stream lobj-fis is equal to new file input stream of file. Now let's use this part. Right, and your buffer input stream will need a FIS, which is file input stream. These patterns are called as a decorative patterns in Java. Fine. So let me use this outside the try catch so that I can get the scope, and buffered input stream also outside the try catch so that I can get the scope. And remove this part. Right. So this will actually give you the file input stream, right, and buffer input stream structure. Now once your buffer input stream is ready, then it's time to read the data. So let me take a string here. Let me call it as lstr line so and so. So this is something which I am going to take it. Now let me create a while loop here. So let me create a while loop here. While we have something called lstr line is equal to, I'll have to take buffered input reader dot read, right? We can directly read int, right? So here this will actually give us a stream, right? So instead of that, let's read the complete string here. So which is, let me take a buffer reader. You can take anything you want. So instead of taking streams, let's take a direct file reader. You have fr here. So let's take new file reader of file. And we have something called buffer reader, where we have buffer reader of some fr. That's right, we can use either of the decorative patterns you want, right? Now here what I'm going to use here is you have your buffer reader dot, now you get a direct read line, right? So this read line is not equal to null. Now we'll have to read until the end of file, right? That's why we are taking. So end of file will always be the null part, right? So that is why we are taking the null part here. Now if it is there, then what we are going to do here is we will just take let me take complete data here. Let me call it a string lstr data, and what we are going to do, we are going to append the data with this. Right. So that if there is more than one line, right, we will actually get it into the data. Now once you get the complete data, then we'll just make a toast and show that in a toast. Make text application context and just say let's paint the LSTR data itself. And you have your toast dot toast dot found dot show. Right. So this will actually give you the complete data what you have retrieved, and it will show in a toast. Now once it is done, you have to go for finally to close the streams. Just say if you have file reader not equal to null, then close the file reader. First always close the internal parts, then close the complete outer layer. Now here we are using, you can see here we are using file reader in buffer reader, right? Which means first you have to close the file reader and then go for the higher parts. So here let's say I'm gonna use buffer reader not equal to null, just say dot close. Okay. Now this is how we actually read the data, and if there is any issue, right, let's put a try catch here and just say it is inner. Right. So this will actually give us a way how to read. Now this is plain simple Java. Now normally main catch is this one in Android, right, where we'll have to get the directory path, check it up, get the file path, check it up, and if everything is fine, then go ahead and read the file as a normal plain Java decorative pattern did, right? So this will actually give us a complete hold on reading the data, right, creating a file data same and checking the status, right? Now we have created a 3 different button itself. Now let's go ahead and run this project. Now if it is not creating files, and if it may not be compatible with some files and all, right, don't worry about emulator. This the same class or same code will actually work for all the mobile phones, right? So let's go ahead and run this. So it is starting. Right, so external storage, click on this, it says mounted, click on create. So it says error inner, what is that? File created successfully. What did it say? Create error SD card open. Okay, access. I forgot that, guys. Now okay, it seems everything is fine. Only thing is that you have to give access again. Don't forget this anytime you are creating. Anyway, this is something which you have to give for access now, right? Now let's go to permissions one. Now in order to give in order to work with external storage, right, again So as we have seen in our where is that, in our SMS part, right, where we'll have to give access to the end user who is installing the part, right? The same way you have to give access even for your external storage too, right? So let's see how to give. So what are the different access things which you'll have to give to this? So let's click on add, right? Click on user permission, okay. And now here you have to select something called first thing is write external storage. This is one permission, and add one more permission to read the external storage. Simple. Let's go ahead and say read external storage, right? This is very important. Now once you do this, right, what happens every time you create an APK of this file? Now let's go and always try to go to this part which is XML and check whether these two lines are read. Not through these two, if you're giving more permissions, right, you'll have to go ahead for more. We'll see, even we'll have Bluetooth and everything, right? I'll show you how to give more permissions and all, don't worry about that, right? So everything will be added up, right? So these are the permissions which will be asked whenever you actually, so whenever any user downloads this APK, right, and if he is installing, then that is a place when it will ask whether you want to allow, it will ask for some permissions, right? It will actually will access your external disk or your contacts or your internal APIs or internet or Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, right? Sometimes, right, then you'll have to give permission. Just say, when you say accept, then it will start installing. Otherwise what happens, sometimes if your app is completely depending on some permissions, right, and if you don't give that, then obviously sometimes it may not work, right? That is what happened just now. Let me clean it up and run it again. So let me run this. So when we'll go to the next topic of Bluetooth, right, I'll show you how to give the Bluetooth permission also to the app. Right? That's fine. So here activity manager. So we'll have this. So click on this external storage, status mounted, and it will say okay, available and writable. Perfect. Right. Now click on create. Now you can see file created successfully. Now click on read now. Now you can see hello. Right. So that is how you can actually now. Anyways, I haven't created a text view here, right? Now you can actually do, if you want to give text view, you can give so that you can create dynamically. But this is something how you can. So if I create it again, right? Now you can see here, if I read it again, right, it will give the same part. Now, okay. Now if it is dynamic, you can actually go ahead and create this external storage. So this is how we can actually work on external storage part. Fine. So this is a complete storage part which we got completed anyways, right? So all the external storages and storage and telephony parts are completed now. Now let's move ahead to the next part called main part, which is connectivity. So in this connectivity we are going to see important something called Bluetooth, right? So in this Bluetooth, so we'll be having few things like how to turn on Bluetooth from app, right? How to make something called after that, yes, discovery. We normally call it as a discovery, or what do we call that, guys? So normally we it's a discoverable, right? If you want to search for any, if you want to make your Bluetooth discoverable for other, it is called as a discovery, yes, and turn off. We'll see these parts, right, in Bluetooth, and then we'll go to Wi-Fi. And anyways, these are something which are direct apps. You just have to use an intent to do all these things. And Wi-Fi is switching on and switching off the Wi-Fi, right? So sometimes you have to do this in a background, whether you are connected. If you are disconnected, then every time you will have to check the Wi-Fi, right? So once these are done, then I'll show you how to create a background thread. I hope you have already seen this, but if time permits, I will also go to something called background work. Normally, this is something which is I'm talking about threading. Right. So we'll see how we can actually create a threading. So doing some task on the UI, you can also do something on the background, and once everything is done, then you can actually show on the screen. We'll see how. Right. Now, so let's go ahead and see the Bluetooth part. So let me close on. Let me create a new project. So let me close everything. You have new Android application project. Let me call it as connectivity maybe, right? Something I just gave connectivity. So let me just say com dot something 3 dot connectivity. Next, 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 and finish. So this is something which is straightforward but important. Normally what happens is, this is something some services you may need to do these 3 actions, which is turn on, discoverable, turn off. We'll see how to do that part. Right? Now this is a main activity, so let's not touch this. So let me create a new activity. So and just say this is our Bluetooth activity. Right? So we'll just see only Bluetooth parts here. Now in my main, so let's go to the class and just call Bluetooth activity at startup. So here create an intent is equal to, you have find view by ID, you have r dot, you have ID dot, so you have something called I'm sorry, new intent. Help me out guys. Here something called Bluetooth activity dot this comma. So oops, my mind is not working today. So I have to go from main activity dot this to the Bluetooth activity, and then start activity of this intent. So this will actually take us to the actual activity which we are looking into, right? So this is the activity. Now what we'll do here, we'll take 3 buttons again. So first button, you have your second button and your third button. Now this may not work in this emulator because it needs a Bluetooth driver, and all the smart devices will have the Bluetooth driver anyways, right? So that's why just bear with this. You can actually run this if you want in your phones. Fine. So let's go ahead and name them. So let us say this is we are going to use this for turn on maybe, right? Turn on Bluetooth, right? So let me call it as BTN turn on, right? And this turn on is blue button 1 here. Let me take up them, right? And this one is BTN discover, right? So all are very simple actions which you have to select in your make disk. Let's say I'm just giving this short form, that when I click on make discoverable, it will actually make my Bluetooth device as discoverable to others. And then you have something called, let me give it discoverable here, then we call it as turn off your Bluetooth, right? So these are few things which we are going to see how to turn on, right? How to actually make discoverable and turn off the Fine. So let me go to the class now. Right. Again, let's create a 3 buttons pattern here. Now first thing, so before entering into anything right now, as we are going to work on Bluetooth always, which means you have to get a permission for Bluetooth. Now let's go, let's go to the manifest file. In manifest file, let's go to permissions here, click on add. I want a user permission. The first permission which I need is a direct Bluetooth permission. You can see there is a permission called, where is the Bluetooth? Yes, Bluetooth. And also take the permission of Bluetooth admin, right? Because we have to make it some discoverable too. So make it as Bluetooth admin too, right? So this two things are mandatory. Let's go to the admin manifest. You can see both the things will be there here, right? Perfect. Now with this we already have given a permission, right? So we don't have to worry about permission part here. So last time when we were working on external storage, we just skipped it, right? So this time we don't want to take chance, right? So we did this. Perfect. Now let's close this and let's go to the button spot, right? So let me take the LBTN. First one was turn on, right? Let me call it as turn on is equal to here find view by ID r dot id dot here something called BTN turn on, right? So this will actually be used to turn on the Bluetooth. Fine. And let's go ahead and create one more button which is BTN make disk is equal to find view by ID of r dot id dot BTN discoverable, right? And then one more button is will BTN turn off is equal to r dot you have id dot BTN turn off, right? So these are the 3 buttons which we have taken. Let me add cast to this and add cast to this. And now what we'll be doing here is first let's take turn on, right? Even before this, what we'll have to check is whether the Bluetooth is it supports or not. That is the first thing actually which we have to check. Anyways, we'll check here itself, right? So while creating, yes, before this button, so what we'll do here is we'll take something called, now in order to work with Bluetooth we need one class called, let me check the class, Bluetooth, that is something called Bluetooth adapter. So this is something which we will be using across in order to work with Bluetooth, right? So let me call it as final so that we don't want to change any things here. Let me call LOBJ Bluetooth adapter is equal to now. So this Bluetooth is, you can see here, that is an internal class of your Android Bluetooth here. Now we'll have to get an object. Now how to get an object? So we'll have to get a instance of the current Bluetooth device which you have in your mobile phone or not mobile phone, or a smart device normally, right? Now let's see how to get that. So again we'll be using Bluetooth adapter dot, you have something called, yes, directory get default adapter. So this will actually give us a hold of the internal adapter which we have in our OS of Android directly, as simple as that. Now this is important that you have to use only this part. Sometimes maybe if you are using any third-party components, right, you may get a Bluetooth adapter of third party. You may use that, but you can actually directly go for your Android Bluetooth. This is something which will actually give you the complete hold of the internal Bluetooth adapter if it is installed, guys. Here itself we'll check if there is an issue. So let me just make a toast dot make text application context, just say e dot get message. Now you can see that this is very important, guys. So if you remember in our previous storage part, right, every try catch, in every catch we gave toast. That is the reason why we got an exception here. When we created that, we have to give permission, right? So exception handling is very important in Android, guys, right? At least during development, always during debug development phase, right? At least try to handle your exceptions, right? But yes, if you are releasing your APK, then you can actually skip the errors, because you don't want to show all these errors to user, definitely, right? Then you will go for some debugger release parts, right? Now here, while creating this Bluetooth adapter itself, we may get some error, right? So that is what we are actually handling here. Now let me remove this menu option. Now let's say if this is equal to null, then obviously, which means it's a non, or normally this device doesn't support the Android, sorry, Bluetooth adapter. Now just say device doesn't support Bluetooth something Bluetooth, right? And then you have your toast dot long dot show. Oops. Fine. And so once, if it is not supporting, then we don't have to go for, right, return. That's it. Now I hope basically if you are using emulator, right, what happened here? Okay, we have to give a toast dot long dot show. Right. Now here, if you don't have a driver itself, right, there is no meaning in going ahead, right? So I hope it will actually stop here if you are using emulator, and rather sometimes it will actually crash the application, because we are trying to get the object or something which doesn't exist at all, right? That's fine, but this is how we can actually code on things. Now let's go ahead and see the first part, which is turning on the Bluetooth. Dot set conflict listener, right? So now let's import the view here. So it will be very simple things as such, but it is very important to follow these steps. First step is you have to check whether your Bluetooth adapter is not equal to null. Definitely. Sometimes, even if it is skipping this part, right, sometimes again you will have to check this part. First step. Second step is always check whether your Bluetooth is enabled or not. You have something called is enabled. If it is enabled, which means you don't have to turn it on again, right? Which means if it is not enabled, then we'll be going on to turn it on. Now this is the step where you have to turn on. Now turning on is something which again will be using a very simple intent, where I'm going to use an internal intent action again, but this action will be a Bluetooth action. Let me call it as lobj intent is equal to new intent. This time I'm going to use an activity or action of Bluetooth adapter again, right? Bluetooth adapter dot, you have something called action. What is action? You have something called discovery request, right? Request enable. Now we are actually looking to enable some service of Bluetooth. Then we have to take a request enable. Now once it is done, then we'll have to start an activity, but Bluetooth will have to start activity for result, right? Now here you have to take an intent. Now here the request code you have to give to enable the request. So 0 will be the request code, which is for your enabling the request. Now this will actually enable your Bluetooth in your device, the simple code. Main catch here is this, and this one, right? And the next one is discoverable. Let me take button make discoverable dot set on click listener of new click listener, right? Now here let's try cache. Now again we forgot, guys, always try to create a toast wherever you have this. So here just say, before printing actual message, just say error but something turn on, so that you will know what exactly is happening. Right? Now let me copy this message and let me paste it here. Just say error on make disk or discoverable. Right? Now here again, in order to make discoverable, again we'll have to check whether Bluetooth adapter is not equal to null. First step, right? And then, so if you want to make it discoverable, right, we'll have to check whether it is already discovering or not, which is, if it is not dot, you have the same thing called e-discovery, right? If it is not discovering, then yes, you can make your driver to make discoverable, right? Now again we'll be going and create an intent here, lobj intent int is equal to new intent of, now this time we are going to use the same Bluetooth adapter action called request discoverable. Now this is the main catch here, right? So once it is done, then just take up start activity for result, your intent, which is lobj, okay, lobj intent, and request code again here will be sending 0, because 0 is something which we are actually making use of, the first step of request discovery. Now here let me show something. If it starts, then just say, let me create a toast here, right? We have to know whether it is started or not, right? Make text application context Bluetooth enable, you can just say enable, let's say a simple word, and you have toast dot the long dot show. So in the same way, here let's say you said something called Bluetooth discoverable something, right? This will actually make your Bluetooth discoverable. And the last step is to disable your or turning off your Bluetooth, which is turn off dot set on click listener of new on click listener, right? And then here let's make a try catch. Let me copy this toast, let me paste it here and just say error at turn off. This turn off is something which is again straightforward. If you have a driver, then you have to turn off, right? So just say if it is not equal to, which is not equal to, lobj adapter is not equal to null, then you have to turn off. Turning off is nothing but you will just have to something called turn, in your adapter you have a direct method called disable, yeah, right? This will actually disable the complete complete Bluetooth. So once it is done, you can make a toast and show it. Just say that Bluetooth disabled. Fine. So this will actually, this is something where we can make use of Bluetooth in different phases, right, of whatever action you want to do. So what is happening here? Why we are getting e dot cannot, okay, it is e2, sorry, you have to go to e2, that's right. Right, so let me run this. I hope it will crash directly, but that's fine, right? Let's run this because we don't have a Bluetooth driver, right? Let me run Android application. Okay, so first, okay, it accepted thing. Okay, on create itself, we just check this, right? If it is null, then we search return, right? Let me make a toast, one more toast here, and just say Bluetooth adapter created successfully, so that we'll just know that whether the adapter is created or not, right? And then we'll move it. So let me run it again, so that we will not be in confusion again. Okay, you have your connectivity. Device doesn't support Bluetooth, right? That's fine. So this is not supporting Bluetooth right now. You can use it now. If I turn on, it will not, because everything will not work now because of the same problem, right? You can actually go ahead and check that, right? So, but the main problem, if you run the same thing in your mobile phone, right? Normally, whenever you're installing your this APK, it will directly will ask you two permissions. First permission is the Bluetooth permission and the admin permission. If you accept, then your your APK will get installed, and then you can actually go ahead and see whether you are able to do all these things in your thing. But normally, obviously, it won't be there in your emulator, because emulator is a lightweight thing, right? Obviously, it won't have. There is no wonder in that, actually. That's right. Right? You can just try it out in your mobile phone, so that if you have Android mobile phone, right, directly you can actually work on this Bluetooth part. Fine. So this is how we actually make use of Bluetooth, and now you can actually increase, the concept if you want, right? More. So normally, we'll get more things on this, like discoverability normally, and sometimes you may need to get something called how to get what are the active paid devices you have. Everything you have using this Bluetooth adapter part, right? You can do anything, any part you have enabling, finding something like other devices, right? You can also get something called something like devices. So like, let me give one more functionality maybe if you want. So let me drag one more button here, and let me call it as BTN get paid devices, get paid BTs, let's say, right? So let me call it as paid devices, right? So this is something which you normally see, right? Paid devices, that okay, I have a Bluetooth, so what are the different paid devices which I have, which are connected to my Bluetooth, right? So let's go ahead and see that part. Again, this will be a very simple part. So let me create a button, LBTN paid is equal to, you have find view by ID, you have r.id.btn get paid BTs, right? We'll add this. So let me minimize, turn on. Or maybe I may not be able to run in my emulator because it doesn't have a Bluetooth driver, right? But I'll show you how to get that. You have lbtn paid.set on click listener, sorry, something called new on click, right? Okay, so here you have try cache. So this is very important. Now first step ever, you'll have to check if your adapter is not equal to null. Definitely, if it is null, then there is no meaning in going ahead. And then if there is any error, always try to show the error. Right? Don't create toast here. but rather what you can do is you can actually go ahead with log D, right? So normally whatever happens is when you create a log D, right, it will be logged, and whoever is actually using this, he can actually send up. Normally we say, I hope you will have seen that something. If any browser or any application crashes, right, it says some unknown exception happened. Do you want to send the report to server? Right, you would have seen this mostly in a Windows operating system, right? So which means every time any exception happens, right, they are logging in file everything. So what they will do, if any unknown shutdown or unknown crash of application happens, right, that exception will be logged into file. Now that is what it says send report. When you click on send report, which means you are actually uploading the records or error records into server. And what happens, it will actually go and sit in the server, and what they'll do, automatically in the server there will be it will actually create a bug for that in some priority, and the team who are actually taking care of maintenance, they'll be checking it. So in the same way you can also do this part, right? So now you can actually go for some logging or some file stuff and all, right? Now anyways, that is not important anyways now. So here what we have to see here is how to get the paid devices. So let's go ahead with adapter dot. We have an internal method called get. We have direct paid. You don't have paid. What do you have? Bound. Okay, bounded devices. That's fine. Get bounded devices, and this will actually give you the list of Bluetooth devices. So let me create a set. Set which is util preset, and here what is that it is giving? It is giving up a, come on, okay, it is giving something called Bluetooth device. Perfect, right? And let me call it as LOBJ pairs. Okay, so this is, we got a pairs here. Now once you get this, now obviously if you want to get the details, right, you can always get them. Make a for each loop, right? We have each Bluetooth device in our pair, and then if you want to get something, which is what you can get here is Bluetooth device dot get name, right? Whatever the name you set in your, for let's say you have paid with some other mobile or your friend's mobile Bluetooth, right? Then whatever name he is setting, and if you don't set any name, it will be a model name of your mobile phone, right? So that is the name which I am referring to. So this will give you a name. Let me call it as string LSTR pair name, right? And sometimes you have to get some more details like your Bluetooth. You have many things. You can get address, yes, on bound state, whether it is active or inactive, right? Or we get the state which will give you int 0 and 1. I can see here in your int, right, bound get state, you have bound none, right, bounding, bounded. There are so many possible values. Normally we go for address, so this will actually give us a base address of a mobile phone, right? So once you have your pair name, just say toast dot make text application context. Shit. You have your get application context. Just say device, and just run up your LSTR name. You can just give toast dot long dot show. So this will actually give you all the devices which are paid, or maybe you can actually show them everything at a time, right? And you can actually use the paid device. So these are, you can actually show all the paid devices you have, right? And this is how normally you can do. And normally what happens is, if you want to make disable, right, you can directly go and disable. What happens is, it will actually make your phone or your Bluetooth device as non-discoverable, or it will actually disconnect from the POM, which also called as you're actually making your device bound state as inactive. Right? So that is how you can actually work with your Bluetooth in Android. Fine. So let's go ahead with the next one, which is Wi-Fi. Now Wi-Fi is again a very simple app which we are going to see, and mostly we'll be actually working with Wi-Fi. I mean, turning off or turning off something, right, in a background process. But first, let us see how we can actually work with Wi-Fi. Let me create an activity here. Let me call it as Wi-Fi activity. Now in Wi-Fi, if you're talking about something, we'll be talking about something called on and off of your Wi-Fi, enable and disable of your Wi-Fi, right? So let's go ahead and do that part. Anyways, again here, I may not get the Wi-Fi option, maybe because this works completely on LAN of this machine. Let's see what happens now. So let me drag one button. Let me drag one more button here. So let me call it as BTN Wi-Fi on. Let me call it as Wi-Fi on, and let me take BTN Wi-Fi off. You can also take toggle button if you want, right? Toggling, where you can get the status of on and off. Right? That's fine. Yeah, so the main, we'll just see the main functionality, right, majorly here. Right, let's go ahead to the main class first and change the name first. Main activity here, let me call it as Wi-Fi activity. Right, so here, so let me call it as so here on create, let me get the buttons. Let me call it as LBTN on is equal to find v by id. You have r dot id dot, let me call it as BTN Wi-Fi on, and then let's take one more button. Let me call it as LBTN off. Find v by id. You have r dot id dot BTN turn Wi-Fi off. Right, so let me just cast it to button and one more cast it to button, and once it is done, then let's go ahead and create LBTN on dot set on click listener of new listener. So let me just input the view. Now here let's create try catch. This is for switching on the Wi-Fi, and we'll create an event for switch off the Wi-Fi. So this is something which is LBTN off dot set on click listener of new on click listener. Right. So here we'll be touching upon try catch. Now here what we are going to do here is, so in order to touch upon Wi-Fi, right, so this is something which we are not going to use intent. Instead of that, you have a direct Wi-Fi activator, not activator, you have something called Wi-Fi config, Wi-Fi manager. You can see here it is Wi-Fi manager is something which is a Android.net class, right? Let me call it as LBJ Wi-Fi is equal to, now here we'll have to get this Wi-Fi manager is, I hope it's a class in Wi-Fi.net, Android.net.Wi-Fi. Now we'll have to get the current Wi-Fi instance, right? So which means we have to get the current system service. We'll have to go to the system service normally, and then here we have to get the name, what exactly you have. So let's check whether we have Wi-Fi here. Now here you can see that there is a Wi-Fi service here. Select that part. Okay, this Wi-Fi service you'll have to get it from context. Okay, anyways, let me get the context here. Context dot Wi-Fi service, will it take it? Okay, it is asking us to typecast. That's fine. So this will actually give us a local or operating system Wi-Fi whole directory, right? Now once you get this, you can directly go ahead and just say hello visual Wi-Fi dot. You have something called enable. You can actually enable a network and disable others. You can do this. Normally what we'll be using is we'll have something called you have disconnect anyways. You can disconnect, or you can go for something called these Wi-Fi network. Okay, we associate reconnect. Okay, this is yes, set Wi-Fi enabled, right? So set Wi-Fi enabled means it will always keep your Wi-Fi true if it is actually able to get the Wi-Fi signals. You can make it true. This will actually enable your Wi-Fi. Same way, you can take the same object of Wi-Fi, right, which is the same thing, and you can actually disable the same. Just make it as false. So this is how we actually work with Wi-Fi to on it on. Now let's say this is one-time job, right? Let's say you have switched on, and what happens every time? Let's say you just came out of coverage, and your Wi-Fi is Wi-Fi is gone out, right? Then what happens? You can't enable or disable. Your Wi-Fi is still enabled, but what you have to do? You have to connect it, right? Then at that time you can go ahead and just say to Wi-Fi dot connect, or something called please just reconnect, right? So that is something which you will actually use directly, reconnect. So this will try to reconnect. Now these reconnecting things and everything, right, you should not do synchronously. Never ever do synchronously, right? You will have to do all these reconnecting part or checking whether Wi-Fi is enabled or not, everything in your background continuously, fine? Let me create a toast here, dot make text application context, and just say error while enabling, maybe just say e dot get message, duration will be your toast dot long dot show, right? So this will actually give you error if there is any problem with enabling your Wi-Fi, and during disabling just say while disabling. Fine. This will actually give you a Wi-Fi hold. Let me run this. So this may not work. Click on Wi-Fi as neither not permission change Wi-Fi state. Okay, we'll have to get the permission here again, guys. So we just forgot that. Let's go to this. You can directly add it from here itself, or go to permissions, click add user permission. You have to get something called change Wi-Fi state, right? And save it. Clean, okay, and then done. Anyways, while development itself, if you are missing any permission, it will actually give you what permission need to be added, and you can directly go and add it here. Fine. So Oh, we closed the, hold on, let me build it again and run it again. Set up. Okay, click on Wi-Fi and it will actually, yes, it is working, it seems, right? So now let me drag it up, and you can't see anyways in emulator, but anyways it is working for us, Wi-Fi part. And if you click on Wi-Fi off, yes, you can see it will actually go back, right? That's fine. Too much work. Let me click on Wi-Fi on. Right, maybe you can just, if there is no error, right, you can just say toast here. Right, and then just say Wi-Fi disabled. So I hope this is crashing. Let me switch off and switch on the phone. Like, yes, switch it on here. Let me open the lock. This should work fine. Okay, fine. You can go back. Okay. And let me enable it. Okay, click on this. Okay, it is working fine, no issues. So click on Wi-Fi off. It is disabled, but let us see whether we are able to browse on the internet, because we just disabled it, right? But normally it will be working through the LAN. Let's see what happens. Okay, it is there because it is working through the LAN, right? So that's why it will be there. So let's go ahead and see if I use it again, which is it connectivity? Click on Wi-Fi off, disable, go back to home. So I'll click on the browser and just click on something here. Can I click on this? Okay, let me click on something. Click on enter just to check whether everything is working fine. Okay, it seems this is working fine. So if your mobile is working on Wi-Fi completely, right, then maybe it will actually work, right? You can just check this same thing when you have right, your own Wi-Fi checker. That's fine. So this will normally work because this is completely working on the LAN of the current machine, right? So that's why it is actually giving Oracle. Oh, it went down today, it seems. That's right. Fine. So this is how we can actually work on different connectivities, right? So we'll have some more things to see, important things. So we'll just check out some background, and we'll just check something called some 2D graphics. So this will be same as our AWT stuffs and all. The mainly background work, we'll see how to work background work and 2D graphics and all, and then we'll see the web services part. Web services will be something which will be very important. First, we'll actually see how to create a web service in Java, right? We'll use the same Eclipse itself to create a web service, right? Some SOAP protocol web service itself, access to maybe, right? And then we'll see how we can actually connect the same, because anyways, in our emulator the internet is working fine, right? So which means you can actually connect the same. We'll see how to do that, right? And yeah, we'll see how to push back the data from web service continuously, right? We'll see even that part. I'll show you something which is in real time happening, right? We'll see how to work on that. Fine. So this will be something background work. So we are almost, so these are something which are very important, which we'll be using in real time, and these things. And yes, we'll see some stylings too, styles, right? We also have to see some style part, right? We'll see the style part too, how we can actually style few things. So this is something which you have to use your own, I'll show you where actually you can actually style on, and what are the different attributes you can style on, right? So we will style some background of activity maybe, or some edit text, right, where to use actual attribute now, because the styling part is something which is like, we are learning HTML and you want CSS. So this is something like that, right? And if you have some hold on CSS, right, it will be the same way that you can actually work on this, right? And yep, I think I hope you guys know how to parse an XML. This is the Java part, anyways. XML DOM parser. Sometimes, because in Android you have to use some parsers like DOM parser or Stacks parser or JSON parsing, right, for XMLs, right? So that is something whenever you are actually communicating through web services and all, right? So the data will be actually parsing through, or sorry, the protocol communication of messaging protocol will be mostly XML, right? Data will be coming up in XMLs, which we also call it as packets, right? Packets of data packets, or packets of data, something, a pushback, or it can be on-demand packet, right? Or pushback from the host, right? It can be anything, right? So that is something how it works in a. We'll see how we can actually push something from web service, and how we can actually get data on demand, right, from host now. Anyways, we'll see that part in our upcoming classes, right? So yeah, so that will be all for today, and I hope we have covered decent topics, right?